Of all the open-ended questions left to us at the end of Hazbin Hotel Season 1, the one that's been playing on my mind the most is that of Alistair. The radio demon's back in town. Why is he hanging around? What does that mean for your family? He's both a fan favorite and a creator favorite, and there have been just enough breadcrumbs in the show to tease the audience and make us feel that we can put the pieces together. So since I don't think I'll be able to rest until I at least try to solve this puzzle, come with me on a 4-part deep dive into absolutely everything we know about Alistair, starting with his present status and occupation, traversing through his relationships with other characters, and ending with speculations about where the show might take him. Ready? Let's do this. Alistair is the facilities manager at the Hazbin Hotel.
Alistair, our gracious facility manager!
Or maybe the host?
I am the host of the hotel.
As the host and facility manager, his job is the running, defense, and structural integrity of the hotel. He seems to have shown up around the time Charlie opened for business.
When you showed up here a week ago, you told us you would help run this hotel.
Why? That's a big, interesting question. He says it's because he wants to watch people suffer, and he thinks watching them try and fail to redeem themselves is funny.
I came here because I love seeing wasteful souls struggle to accomplish something meaningful and fail spectacularly.
The other characters seem to accept this line.
All you do is stand there smiling while you watch us struggle and fail. I don't know how you can enjoy all the suffering so much.
But I'm not sure if I do. He lives in hell. There's suffering everywhere. He could go anywhere to see misery. So I can only assume that there's a real reason behind his stated one. This is more or less confirmed when Zestiel, one of Alistair's contacts, asks him why he's working with Charlie at her hotel, and he gives a much cagier answer.
There too hath been rumor of thy involvement with the princess and her recent flight to fancy. Tell me, how dost thou fall into such folly?
That is for me to know. But please do guess. I'd love to know the theories.
If he just wanted to see people suffer, why not tell Zestiel? It's not like he'd judge him for it. More on that in part 4. Before he was host and facility manager at the Hazbin Hotel, Alistair was, and still is, one of Hell's overlords. In the world of Hazbin Hotel, the overlords are the sinners who own other sinners' souls and control territory. According to Alistair's friend Mimsy's story, he rose through the ranks faster than anyone ever had before.
He appeared in hell suddenly, making a splash quicker than anyone had ever seen.
He seems to have done it both by subjugating other souls and eliminating other overlords.
At first, people wanted to dismiss him, but soon overlords started going missing. And not small ones neither. We're talking heavy hitters.
Based on the inclusion of this detail, we can infer that this isn't the normal trajectory and that most sinners, even most overlords, don't start out like this. Now he's one of the most powerful human souls in all of hell. It's implied in his inclusion in the overlords meeting, but not stated outright, that Alistair has control over many souls, hundreds if not thousands.
Welcome, Hell's sovereign overlords. I've invited you all here because you represent the controlling powers of our city. Together you own millions of souls.
Certainly one would think he had dominion over more souls than just the 2 recurring characters we meet in the show, Husk and Nifty, but we never get a clear picture of how many or even how powerful this makes him. Additionally, we never see his territory in the same way we see other overlords' territories. The only territory we see of his is his radio broadcast tower that's attached to the side of the hotel, whereas the others have whole neighborhoods. Mimsy states in her story that overlords and people who cross him would disappear and he would play their screams on his broadcasts.
No one knew what happened to him until these strange radio broadcasts started going out. All you could hear was screams.
So at first I wondered if his territory existed on radio waves and the screaming souls fueled him, but then he threatens Husk with tearing his soul apart and playing his screams on the radio.
If you ever say that again, I will tear your soul apart and broadcast your screams for every other disrespectful wretch who dares to question me.
So I don't think that's the case. I also don't know if the souls that can be heard screaming on the radio only had their souls ripped apart, or if they're somehow powering Alistair too, like a battery. This is still a mystery. Maybe he makes up for lack of territory and underlings with raw power and contracts, but at this point we just don't know. Before we proceed into Alistair's relationships in parts 2, 3, and 4, I think it's worth pausing and interrogating why any of this matters. When you watch a show, you're having a sort of conversation with the creator of that show. They do the talking and you do the listening. This is called linear communication, point A to point B. Vivian Medrano put 10 years of work into a show that's really well made and smartly written. It's funny, it's got a good message, and the characters are fleshed out, relatable, and entertaining. This show has a lot of heart, and when you look at it more deeply, you find more to like. When it comes to engaging with media, I think it's important to pick up what the artists are putting down. Otherwise, you're not really listening to them and not really engaging with what they're saying. The Hazbin Hotel fandom, and the Alistair fandom in particular, is flooded with headcanons that just don't make any sense and don't seem to be based on anything in the show. Here are a few examples that are emblematic of this problem. First, the idea that Alistair is a Creole man from New Orleans. You guys know that this
Well, hello there, you wayward sinner. Do you like blood, violence, and depravity of a sexual nature? Of course you do! That's why you're in hell!
isn't what people in Louisiana sound like, right? Alistair literally never speaks French, and beyond that, this isn't the right accent. Now, you might say, people back then used to train to use this accent so they could still be understood when the lo-fi radio compressed their voices. And you would be right, but you can still hear strong regional accents in people using these techniques to be heard over old radios. A great example of this is Huey P. Long, senator from Louisiana in the 1930s, who had a radio show in which he talked in a mix of a deep southern drawl and clipped transatlantic affect.
It is our estimate that 4% of the American people own 85% of the wealth of America, and that over 70% of the people of America don't own enough to pay the debts that they owe.
So I'm confident in saying that Alistair is not a Creole man from New Orleans. Next, Alistair is the weakest overlord in hell now that his staff is broken. In the fight at the hotel, Alistair takes on Adam and gets his staff broken.
Because radio is fucking dead!
What just happened? Fuck.
This is something he carries around for a lot of the show. It's a combination prop and costume piece that can be used as a microphone. Well, some fans have decided that it's a focus for his power, and now that it's broken, he's going to be much less powerful in season 2. And I don't know where they're getting any of this. There's literally nothing in the show that would suggest this is the case. Lots of strong characters don't have one, and lots of characters that do have them don't use them for anything. Third, and by far the funniest of these that I've found so far, is the idea that Alistair soothes his anxiety by pulling out his hair. The comments on these videos that suggested this are very funny, but so is the evidence they provide. You can see him put his hand to his head and then take his hand away from his head. Guys, this isn't hair. Those are his fingers. He has red gloves and they are entirely separate from his red hair. You can see his left hand in literally the same shot, and it also has red fingers. And yet the fans all comment things like, what if his mom used to run her fingers through his hair when he was little to help him calm down, and now he pulls his hair out when he's stressed? It's genuinely funny to me that they take nothing and make wild speculation about how the scary demon man is actually a soft ooh-woo boy. These seem especially strange to me when one considers how much you have to change about the character you like in order for him to adopt these new character traits. The accent you like would change. The fact that he's strong and confident and does what he wants, gone. The choices he makes, and the fact that he's a bit sadistic, gone. Do you really want that? I don't. I'm a fan of the character as Vivian Medrano wrote him. I think he's fun, and I like solving the mystery of who he is and where he might be going in new seasons. When you look at the script, animation, acting choices, and music, you can learn a lot and get hints to the answers to these questions. I can't say for sure whether any of my ideas are 100% correct. I can't see the future, but I can say they're backed by the text that Vivian Medrano wrote and that I enjoyed watching and thinking about. What I came up with are my best efforts to use season 1 to get these answers, and since I did all this work, I think my answers are worth sharing. I hope you think so too. Parts 2, 3, and 4 will be coming out shortly, so do subscribe to make sure you see them. In the meantime, I have other Hazbin Hotel analysis videos and more media analysis videos, so make sure you check those out. Now, let me leave you with the worst fan theory I've found yet, that Alistair is canonly averse to touch, and the compilation I made proving otherwise.
I pulled a few limbs, too. Ha ha ha! I am happy to fulfill her bizarre requests.
Oh, thank you, Alistair.
We're all very proud of her. Who's been here since day one? Your executive producer.
That's true.
I'm your steadfast hotelier.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm truly honored that we built such a bond. You're like the child that I wish that I had.
What?
I care for you just like a daughter I spawned. It's a little funny. You could almost call me Dad. Sadly, there are times a birth parent is a dud.
How you been? Good?
Good.
Nonsense! We started the hotel together, and we'll show it off together. Why don't you let the others help you settle in, and I'll be back before you know it. Just because you see a smile, don't think you know what's going on underneath. A smile is a valuable tool, my dear.
Huh?
Those big scary angels are not quite as indestructible as they seem. All I need from you is one itty-bitty favor. What's a favor between friends? Do we have a deal?
Deal.
And I know just who can help her normal, charming self.
What's that you said about smiles?
Good girl. There's a friend of mine I think you should meet.
In Cannibal Town? But it's... These holes really lost some of their sparkle without your lively presence and... Oh.
This is Rosie. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Princess Charlie Morningstar. She's bound to pass the test as Princess of Hell. Like her daddy, she is badly powerful. She's filled with potential that I could guide.
I concur.
Stick with her, you'll be on the winning side.
I dub thee King Roach.
Oh, to understand your twisted little mind. And we're doing it with a smile.